Early season hunting has got to be one of the more difficult times to hunt. Locating these big velvet bucks during the summer, it's difficult and challenging even though they aren't far from crop fields. The deer aren't moving very far during the day, it's hot, and you've got to try to get as close as possible to their bed compared to what you do in October, November. Now, during October, November, of course, I'm still getting as close to bed as possible, but those bucks are traveling a lot further and a lot more during daylight. Where these bucks during early season, they're just not traveling very far during daylight at all. And I don't blame them. So, how do you go about locating these big bucks? And then how do you go about hunting them? So this video here, I'm going to make a quick one. How to locate these deer. This is something that I'm working on right now. End of May here in Kentucky, I've got a September 2nd hunt. It's going to kick off my season when it comes to my whitetail slam. First of 5 states I'm getting after, so it's going to be a crazy season. And as always, if you have any questions about this video, don't hesitate to leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. I have just set camera number 14 of the weekend on this property. It's a very big property, and what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a converging sign near limited resource. Now, this property has a fair amount of ag and it has a fair amount of water, but water's not everywhere. So I'm getting into these draws where I found a couple springs, natural springs, and a couple drainage ditches coming off of ponds where there's active water still in them, even though it's hot and it hasn't rained in a while. Ground's dry, so it's really hard to locate tracks, but with the plows that just came through, it's a little bit softer ground in spots. So I am picking up some tracks and I'm finding the converging trails where the activity is picking up at least, and then I can continue back into the ridges from there. And then, like this camera location I just set up here, I've got 2 converging logging roads. Now these bucks, especially during the early months, they're going to pick those lower density areas to walk because it'll hurt the velvet if they walk through the very thick, high stem count areas that they're going to be at the end of September. So you've got a short period of time to catch them on these patterns before they shift over into their fall patterns, and that's why it's such a delicate time of the year. You've got to get so close. This is a great time to get out and run as many trail cameras as possible. Really, it's about eyes on. If you have the ability to glass a lot and get out in these fields and check them out and put time in, you know, in the evenings and all to locate these deer by sight, that's fantastic. If you don't, running trail cameras is our next best option. And I just flooded this property with them, so fingers crossed I get pretty good patterns going on. My goal here is it gives me 3 months to locate them and pattern them before September. That's why I started so early. So even though we're really early still in the growth period, over the next month when these cameras are out here soaking, they're going to be picking up that growth. I'm going to get a really good idea about what kind of deer I'm on. So converging signs, limited resource. Hit the water. The crop fields are going to provide a lot of cover right now because they're still up and they're not going to be harvested just yet. So think about that going into September. I'm not afraid to get as close to a crop field as possible. And then I'm finding benches back behind them. I love that location. I found multiple beds on this property where I got my crop field on top. Then I drop down a little bit onto a bench, and then I find clusters of trees with converging trails. Boom, deer bedded. That is also very close to water. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a crop field, a bench, and water in that drainage ditch as close as possible. Now, not always does it work out like that, but that's kind of my routine that I'm taking right now to set cameras and go from there. And then once I get some bucks located, I'm going to centralize the cameras on that buck and see if I can pick up some hidden movement with ditch crossings, field corners, inside corners, and other converging trails as well. So this is the first video for the summer when it comes to locating these deer. I'm going to keep putting videos out and kind of walk y'all through my process. So keep an eye out for those. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.